Hi Tappers! I have a bit of an unusual subject today. Have you heard the phrase ancestral trauma? When I hear this phrase, I go to a visual of how this was first described to me as a spiritual experience where a person clears energetic family karma from moving forward through them by doing some sort of ritual to change the energy or eliminate it. While what I'm referring to today is based a bit more in science, that explanation isn't as far off as it sounds. Now, it's been scientifically shown that our gene expression is set to certain standards by what we inherit through the genes we receive as our own genetic makeup. And these expressions can be from 2 generations ago. So let's absorb that a bit before we move on. Think about your grandparents and think about what they experienced growing up, both in their own little family life and in the world at large. Now think about your parents. There is a chance that some of that genetic programming that was useful for them to survive and thrive in the times that they grew up in are passed on to you, and this could be a benefit or not, but it is a real thing. Another way to say this is that you have inherited some limiting beliefs or limiting functions that aren't yours. Now, how do you identify this and how do you release them when you do find them? Now, I have a recent example in my own life that will make this a bit easier and a little more clear to follow. So, as I was bubbling out on my routines equals ruts limiting belief, I had a branch of bubbles that ended up going to the phrase of worker bee. Now, this immediately struck a live chord in me that felt very emotional, but I was bewildered otherwise. I didn't know why this was making me angry. I couldn't correlate anything with it in my life. I imagined a little bee and I thought it was cute, so I tapped on it, waiting for something else to pop up so that I could resolve it. It wasn't super high, it was like at a 4, but it was a solid response of anger. Now, when it went nowhere, I asked a key question: is this mine? And my inner knowing just gave me the answer of no. I then began branching out through all of my relatives who might have given me this through that genetic emotional coding. Within a few seconds, I felt a connection to a person and tapped from the perspective of my anger for this person's point of view of being a worker bee. Now, this can bring up lots of questions here. How do I know for sure that it's from that person? How do I know that this is their point of view about this? There are many things that you can ask here that might be difficult to answer, but guess what? None of that is important. This genetic coding that's coming through to me is now my interpretation of it, and it no longer matters what's true for them because I'm now trying to resolve it as it lives and makes sense in my body and brain. Do you see? It's not up to you to make sure that person no longer feels like a worker bee, and that's not going to release it for you, but it is up to you to figure out how to light up those neurons inside of yourself and let those neurons know that they aren't doing you any favors anymore believing this, and an upgrade is needed. Now, it's not that different from tapping out something from your own life, but it is different enough. I wanted to be sure that you have a way to empower yourself to release something that you discover that you were handed the results of rather than experiencing the actual experience and having the results. So I hope this helps, and I will see you soon.